Hello.
Hello, all.
Hi, Emilio. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I don't know. Hopefully,
I think we can. We are actually streaming live in our channel, YouTube channel.
mm-hmm. Oh, is it your first time here on the
And
YouTube?
no, 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 no. We are streaming live right now to our channel
Okay,
in YouTube.
because for me it is. So, yes. But you can hear me well, right?
I
You can
totally
hear me
can
well?
hear you well. Yes,
Okay. Okay, good.
yes. And I can see both of your cameras. I can see
Yes.
you in one and your art in the other one. I'm so excited about it.
Yes, me too. And thank you for this because it's really, really wonderful to be able to connect, with whatever we can these days.
And it's a beautiful technique too. Looking forward to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this is great. All right, we have six people right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's maybe do a little introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to this workshop about Huichol. It's a pleasure for the Hispanic Club partner with the Oakville Art Studio. This technique that has been around for centuries, and we are very happy to have Ixchel as one of our board members. We are very lucky, very fortunate, and not only for me as a member of the board of the Northumberland Hispanic Cultural Club, but it's also my neighbor, so I'm loving that. So with that, I know, Ixchel, you would like to start maybe with a little bit of history, and then let's make it happen.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And thank you, everybody who's joining me and us today. Thank you, Emilio, and all the board from the Northumberland Hispanic and Cultural Club, because, without these forums, we lose a lot of opportunities to get to know so many things, not because I am passionate about what I do. And this is in no way, I want to make clear that I don't want to step in any Huichol community. I want to say hello to all the Huichol communities. I have been an admirer of the culture. I come from Mexico. I moved to Canada 16 years ago. I am a textile artist, and I used to teach natural dyes for many years. Through this research, I found, of course, the practices of the Huichol, which is one of the many, many cultures that we have in my country. But the most important thing I want to start today about the Huichol is that um, many cultures through the Hispanic influence got transformed, or they adapted things from, the idiosyncrasia, they got blended in. The Huichol happened to be hiding in the Sierra Madre Occidental. They were a very strong community with their own, it's one of the families of the Aztec divisions. But since they were in the highlands of the Sierra, the region of the Huichol is in Nayarit, Jalisco, Durango, Zacatecas, which is center east of Mexico. And we have the Sierra crossing all the country. And that's why they hardly noticed them. They were able to be hiding them. So this makes this culture very pure, almost intact to these days. And they are very proud, of course, of what they have been bringing throughout these hundreds of years. And they still develop their techniques almost the same way. As I say this, of course, civilization, the growing of the cities, the need to work in other areas. The young generations are moving into cities and they're losing some of their practices. And some have moved into the cities, enhancing their love for their art and selling these wonderful pieces of as a fine craft. There is an art. It's a craft and it's an art, and they are just amazing. If you want, Emilio, we can start a little bit of what we're going to do today in the workshop. We're going to talk about what are symbols, typical symbols of the Huichol and how they work. They they developed this technique with the beeswax, which I'm going to share some images from this book, which wrote one of my dear friends, Hope McLean. She is an anthropologist who have been studying the Huichols. She's from US, but she has been living with the Huichol communities for over 25 years. She has written many publications, and I'm basing most of the things I will be talking about today on her on her book, which I think it's quite complete. And okay, so if you want to, I can pin this one. Let me see if I can pin this one. Okay, here you see some of the cactus. These are the cactus that grow in the region. They are peyote cactus, and it's named hikuri in Huichol language. It's of course, it causes hallucinations, and that's the way they connect to their designs and their whole world. Their whole and singing and writing are through these connections of this world and the other world. So what is it about them? It's not like one of my students. They say, yeah, but they just like they get high, and no, it goes beyond that. They eat these mushrooms. Well, it's a cactus since early stages of their lives, and they they um, they just get these visions to the other world. Okay, so how does the keep in mind that before the Spanish, they didn't have wool, right? Wool was introduced by the Spanish. They would be working with cotton, very fine natural cotton from the region, and a beeswax. Today, we're going to do an adaptation for the workshop we're doing today. We're not going to be working with beeswax because not everybody has the material, and we are somehow locked in, due to COVID. So I would like to share this technique that you can do. I've done it with kids, with adults, with seniors, special needs, and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful way to feel the color, to understand part of their iconography of their whole culture. We will be working, whoever got the patterns, it can be done in any cardboard, behind a cereal box, I've done it, through these days of COVID times, on the back of pizza boxes, which are very good. They can support very well the technique. You can do it on any surface. You draw the patterns of their symbols. And one of the most important thing is not just gathering colors and throwing them. Everything has a pattern, everything has a rhythm, same as life. Part of their music, when they connect with the spiritual world, they use these patterns of music, which is called high and low, And as many Aboriginal cultures, how we start with a beat. So if we were to close our eyes and just feel protected, feel secure in an environment, the only thing we would hear, all of us, would be, which is the basic pattern of the beat of the heart, which everybody that is alive have experienced being in the mother's womb. So this beat, among many cultures, almost all the original cultures, have created this sense of belonging to a tribe, and this is how some of their patterns in music relate through different original instruments, like, for example, the teponazli. Teponazli is a small drum made, could be by the wooden, the carved wooden with holes, or some of the turtles. And then obviously through time they evolved using violin and guitar together with their drums for their patterns. So why is this important for our workshop today? If we're going to start doing a pattern, whatever you want to do, keep in mind that the colors are so important. We will be doing vanishing and gradations of color. If you see here, it could be light, medium to dark in any color. So please, whatever the design you will be doing, it's going to be your own search for iconography in the style of Huichol. Now, if you see this symbol, is one of the most outstanding in all their, it's like a little flower. And of course, it is representing the peyote. The peyote, like I said, is the connector between this world and the other world. So for example, if I'm going to be starting to do a flower, if you are doing something similar like this, or a son, or the godson that is also, is the father's son, and he teaches and talks to the shamans. This is a connector to the shaman, and this is the way they represent the peyote. So how would we be starting? Choose at least 3 colors in a color value. For example, light, medium, and dark, or the opposite, dark, medium, and light. We will be using regular glue. I'm using transparent glue, but it could be with anything that sticks. If you have wax, that would be great. But if you don't, you can use any regular glue. I have also brought a support of a needle just to help me push in the little intricate parts where I will be doing the insert. And I'm going to be starting, even though I have many different designs here, for example, the snake, it means the water and the helping of the earth and water for the crops. This is a very important symbol for them. So I will be doing today a deer. Why a deer? For the Huichol, the deer, especially the blue deer, is one of the most important. It's the elder brother deer. It's called Tamatsi Koyumagari. It's the messenger or the translator between humans and deities. And I love the shape, and I think living in Canada, now that I live in the country, I will try to find myself immersed in this something from my culture, and that's what I will be starting to do. At any moment, please, if you want to participate, if you have questions, how we're going to start to do our coloring. This is, for example, an idea that you can do. You can start with any color. Of course, I will relate the deer to blue because it's part of their color they use. And also, the yarn that I'm using, it's regular synthetic. However, if you see the ones they would be using, just if you see this very thin cotton, it's amazing. Their artworks are just unbelievable, the way they go over and over. Now, one of the first tricks I would recommend, don't put few amount of glue, because you will be needing the glue will dry fast. Don't worry about getting sticky, because it will dry very, very fast. Okay? So I'm going to start with the center of my deer. When you see the center heart of my deer, I'm going to be cutting your yarn. So the center heart of my deer, I'm going to start with the white as a meaning of light. I want my deer to start with a light color. So whatever you design, you're putting, take a look. I'm putting enough amount of glue, and I'm going to start going around and around. Now, it doesn't dry that fast, so you're able to manipulate the yarn over and over and over. Take a look. I'm just going to put it around. And with my needle, I don't want to leave any spaces behind, around, or under. I'm going to show you. This would be the first. Put enough amount of glue all under and around so you don't lose that opportunity to get everything. Another suggestion, don't press too hard with your finger, because you will get all the glue on your finger. Trust me, it happens. So I'm just doing a little soft, gentle tap, tap, tap. And with the needle, I will be pushing the heart of my deer. There you go. I'm going to put it close because you can't see with the white. Where's the camera? Here's the camera. Oof, you can't even see it. Maybe there. Can everybody see it? Okay, so there's my heart. Very good. Okay, so continuing with this, I'm going to put the second color. Remember that we're talking about values. What is a value? You know, when you add light to your colors, you know, every color had a meaning, of course, and it also has to do with the chakras of our body, and also the colors that you would be able to do in that region. Doing natural dyes taught me many, many things about why certain communities use this color or that, because that's what they would be able to do with the plants, minerals, or animals, including this beautiful red. It was called in Europe the royal red, and it was made out of cochineal. For those who don't know what the cochineal is, it's a cactus, and it doesn't have to be any cactus. It's the prickle pear cactus. Okay, so I'm adding light blue around the heart of my deer. You can use smaller lines of thread so you don't get everything mixed with glue if you want. I'm going to try to make as many values inside my deer, because I want to be, I have here like 6 different values of color. So I was telling you about the cochineal. So the cochineal was an amazing, amazing color um, produced by the females of the parasites, the bugs that parasite, like cochinilla grande, cochineal. And to obtain that color, of course, you remove the female bug from the cactus and it will die. The male is the one, it's a little bug that has big wings, but the male doesn't produce the color. It's only the female, the larger bugs that produce the color. So what happens with the color? You would be removing them from their parasite source. They die, and then they would squish it on molcajete or a metate, which is a stone-made grinder. And that's how you will, once it's dry, it becomes a powder. And guess what? When the Spanish came to America, they saw that even the pyramids were all painted in red because the cochineal has a lot of it's anti-parasite, so they would cover the walls of the pyramids to prevent the bugs from crawling. They would be decorating the paint, and guess what? It was amazing to be traveling with this dye to take to Europe. So what happened once the Spanish arrived in Europe with this amazing permanent bright red color of the art in Europe? Italy, France, England, and Spain, which were the main powers, benefited from these colors in paint and, of course, in textiles. And it was easy to transport because once it's dry, it becomes a powder. So, another good thing for them that they would travel in these odysseys crossing the Atlantic Ocean, you know, and they would be just doing the trades. And guess what? It was as important at that time, the color of the cochineal in the trades market, that you would never believe that came in second place after gold. Imagine, that was the importance of the red dye. And for those who are visiting us from Canada, who know about the Mounties, in US, do you know which are the Canadian Mounties? You know, these
Ixchel, do you know that your connection to your voice has disappeared and we can't hear you? We can only see your camera that's showing us the work you're doing.
Ixchel, can you hear me? Ixchel, can you hear me? Ixchel, we lose your audio, and we lose also the other camera.
Sí, sí, se te fue la señal. No, no, no te estamos escuchando por ningún lado y no te estoy viendo el de las manos tampoco. Sí, pues no te veo. No, no te veo. Conecte y desconecte de nuevo. Vale. Sí, ok. Okay, folks, sorry about that. Ixchel is having a little trouble right now. She's trying to sort it out what's going on with her connection, and she will be with us in a second. Um, Ms. Hook, can you hear me? Yes? Good. Perfect. Sorry about this. She actually disconnect and she's connecting again to sort it out the problem. That's our problem with the internet these days. In our Zoom meetings, our connections are not reliable in any means. So I hope you guys, me for my work, I have to learn a little bit of patience. Now she's coming back. All right, just wait, let's give her a second. Here she is.
Can everybody hear me? Hello?
Yes,
I don't know. Yes, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, I can hear you
Oh,
now.
okay. Okay, sorry about, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it's beyond my control, guys. Trust me. I wish I had all the answers for the internet, but I don't. But anyway, let's continue. I don't know where I stopped reaching you guys, and hope to catch up.
Last thing I heard was you were talking about the red and how important
Yes, I was talking
that was
about the
to the
red and
culture.
the. Okay, so let me set my phone again. Okay, give me a second. And we'll continue. Okay, so I was telling that the red came in second place after the gold, which was very, very impressive. Now, what is happening with the blue? The blue is a color that appears in many plants, especially from the family of the Indigofera. Now, the Indigofera is a series of plants that have this dye component that it's a process of oxidizing. So again, that blue became very, very important um, for the dyeing, especially in well, of course, in many communities. But what happens when you mix the blue with the purple? You start creating blue and red, the natural dye from the indigo dye with the red from the cochineal, which is an animal dye, and you create the purple. Now, I'm going to start doing the following color that would be a darker blue. Again, I put my glue inside, and you'll see how once it gets narrower, 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 you can still open it, put the yarns, and close it again. That's a very good tip, because sometimes they say, oh, I can't put it anymore. Look, for example, here, because since it hasn't dried yet, I'm going to open it, put my yarn. That's a very good trick when you want to do narrow places before it dries. Now, keep in mind that they would do it with wax, right? Now, what does a wax do? You know, it melts. Of course, you cannot leave it in the sun because it will melt. But and it's not only on boards. You know, the boards where it's called nielica. The nielica would be the boards that they would be doing it with the wax. The nielica. There you go. I'm trying to connect my computer again. So you see, I opened it and then I put it back again. So I have the narrow space again. Now here, because I like the contrast of color, I did already all the transitions of the blue. Try not to use the black unless you want an outline. So I'm going to put this, the last darker blue, and I'm going to put a hot pink in the middle, just because I love contrast and I love color. And this is what it's all about. Be yourself and try to think at the same time we're working. It's like a beautiful, beautiful therapeutic pass of threads. You know, that's why I've been in textiles, you know, trust me, I've done painting, I've done printmaking, batik, planji, a lot of techniques. And I always go back to using any shape or form of yarns because it's the closest thing we have to, you know, the comfort of being a baby and being wrapped up with our mother's um, wrapping, right? It's a comfort feeling that brings us to basic well-being, you know? It's a pattern. You can see the music in it. Try not to leave any space in between the yarn. I'm going to finish here. And now what I was telling you, I'm going to go crazy with the color inside. Why? Because what can I say? I grew up with color and I really enjoy the contrasting of color. Okay, so now I see what my computer is doing. It decided to do an update. So sorry about that. I had to turn it off, on and off again, and that was asking me for an update. Nice. Okay, take a look at this contrasting color. It is gorgeous. I'm going to use this for the inside. It's very narrow. The same way I mentioned, I'm going to open it again, just slightly, put my yarn again, just one line, and I'm going to cut. I cut it, and then what? Push your lines together. I'm going to make it very, very tight and narrow. Now here, this one is a little rebellious. I'm going to put some glue to the end of this one. Tuck it in. Remember, very, very gently. Touch the yarns very gently, okay? I'm going to put another one here. I'm going to cut. Try to cut it a little bit longer, even though you can tuck it in, so you don't see any white spots. There you go. Now we have, this would be one of the legs, the tail. And of course, I have to do the same pattern here and here. The head, I'm going to continue only in blue. Okay, so what can I do on this area? It's all about contrast. When you need contrast, what do? Contrast means something that stands out, something that will allow the color to be more vibrant or more muted, or, you know, this is falling. Okay, let me see if it's close there. Okay, so what color could I use? If you see the sample of this one, I was painting it, which you can also do painting. That would be really, really nice when you're working with kids or with a family project. You know, what is the totem? What is the animal that represents you? And you can adapt their teachings to a technique that it's very, very contemporary. Okay, so I'm going to go again, and this time I'm going to start with a darker one. Try to match the colors. And if you want contrast, and this is blue, of course I will find something that will make my deer stand out. If my deer finishes with a darker tone, or whatever shape you're doing with a darker tone, you will put something very, very vibrant and light on the outside. For example, I'm going to show you some ideas that were here. Okay, so you have this. This one has the red, orange, yellow, and white, right? It's a gradation of color in warm colors from dark red, medium red, orange, light yellow, darker yellow, I know, darker yellow, lighter yellow, and white. A little outline with blue yarn, and immediately a bright red. So think of it as when you're doing contrast. I'm going to show you another one here. This is another. If this, my peyote, is very light, the following color would have to be darker, whatever you want, so it can stand out. Okay? Okay, so let's continue. You can also, I would love to see what are your designs, what are you working on? I'm trying to hook up my other camera so I can see what you guys are doing. This time I want to work on the head. I want to work all around the ear, the head, with enough amount of glue, right? So don't worry, this is not a race. This is not something that you have to do, you know. This is for exploring a technique, talking about design. What does this animal tell you, right? What is it saying? Why this color and why? Remember, art, it's not about what I tell my students, it's not about making masterpieces. Art is finding ourselves and self-esteem and confidence, my dears, because sometimes they say, oh no, I draw horrible, I won't be able to do it. Trust me, it's not about perfection. It's about doing things that fulfill your spirit. You can put some music, you can just enjoy. I don't know you, but this is so relaxing. Even though I have to tell you, I have issues with getting dirty. And my hands, sometimes it's like, ooh, but it doesn't matter because it will be washed out. It will be washed away. And we will be clean again. So don't worry. So I'm going to be here. My blue, which actually this is a beautiful blue. I think I didn't put it on the other side. I have so many values here that, you know, if you don't have yarns, you can always get an old sweater and undo the sweater. Trust me, we do recycling a lot, especially being on COVID times. I've been teaching with all the recycled things that we have in our house. You can have an old pair of socks that you don't like, and anything can work. You know, there you go. I'm going to put a lighter tone, and here always the ends are a little complicated. Okay, so I have this one. 9, 5. I'm trying to connect with the other so I can see you guys. Hopefully my computer doesn't do anything else again. Okay, so I want to get to the detail of the eye because this is important. You know, all the details, when they manage to do all the very intricate designs inside, you just cut one part and you would tuck it in with a toothpick or with any other. Let me see which one is lighter. Okay, this one is the next. I'm going to follow this one with the following color. And at this point, I would really love to hear what you guys are doing. Which one did you select from the ones they sent you, from designs that we were able to share with you?
I selected the deer.
Okay, I'm going to put way much more blue here. And go back. You know what? No, I have a double. Oh my gosh. What's going on? Okay. Okay. Okay, so anybody wants to show what you're doing now that I see the camera? I have the color here. Now, how does the color work? I was telling you a little bit about natural dyes. For those who don't know how the blue comes to life, it's a process of oxidizing. You know, the plant that carries the dye is squished and cut and leaving soaking for a couple of days until it starts rotting, you know, in the water. So the dye goes to the bottom of the bucket where you're putting the plants. You remove the plants, and the dye sits on the bottom of the containers where we're doing the dye. So what's happening? The water has oxygen and hydrogen, and the air also contains oxygen. So what's happening is that it's oxidizing. By oxidizing, the process when it touches the air and the water, the color starts changing and it starts getting darker and darker and darker. And it's not a dye, it's a little different than the one you see with the cochineal. The cochineal would be absorbed all the way through the yarn inside with the mordants, that it's a substance that helps fix the color in the yarn. And the blue, it's not absorbed, it's just on top of the fiber. So for example, I'm going to tell you, for example, if this is a yarn, let's say that it's a raw yarn that I'm going to dye. Let's pretend that it's this one. The dye will be on top of the yarn. And I dip it again in the dye bath, and it goes more and it gets darker again and again. So the more I dip it in the water with the dye, it will get darker. That's why the jeans, you know, have you noticed that the jeans dyed with blue indigo, usually they fade away the colors. It's not that they're bleaching, it's that the color is coming off the fibers of your structure of your pants. Usually it's cotton, right? So all the processes, you know, mankind is unbelievable curious in the way they have come up with these ideas of, you know, how to get color, because color is something we need in our lives. Has it happened to you, you know, when you go to your closet and you take a jacket and you put yourself the red jacket and you feel, woohoo, you feel so great. But sometimes you put the red jacket and you don't like it. And then you leave it on the couch. and then you take another and you don't feel like it and you leave it on the couch. By the time, if you're one of those days, I don't know if you have had one of those days that you don't know what to put on. Trust me, it happens. It's because the color that we need that day, we are like plants. We are reacting to color. We are reacting to emotions, to senses, to smells. We are living creatures. And that's the beauty of color, that it really brings us into a happy mode or a sad mode. So, where are you visiting from, guys? Who can tell me where am I getting there with this art?
Toronto.
Toronto?
Yes.
Okay, so nice to see you from Toronto. Yes, the sister city. Yeah. Anybody else from somewhere else? I'm going to put some white. I see some of the registrations came from far away. I had a person from wanting to reach out from Costa Rica. That was really, really nice. So I'm going to put white here. Remember, don't press too hard. Oh, from Mexico. Luis, buen día. Bienvenido. Qué emoción. Nice to see you here. Bienvenido, Luis. Yes, I'm very happy to join. My father was a musician, he was a violinist. And all of these rhythms, I grew up in a wonderful family of art and music. And every time I listen to Huichol music, it's just like really, really, the patterns and the rhythms are very, very unique. I was born in Veracruz, where the little harps and, the jarocho, like the jalapenos, the chiles jalapenos, the jalapeno peppers are from.
So, Ixchel,
Yes.
we can say hi to Julie. She's from the UK.
Oh, hi, Julie. Julie, nice to see you. It's almost evening over there. It's nice to connect with you. Whereabouts in UK are you?
I live about 2 hours west of London,
Okay, that's wonderful.
on the border of Wales.
Uh-huh. Okay, that is amazing. So beautiful. Uh, I went to see the Stirling Castle in the reproduction of the tapestries, woven in the West Dean. That was
Yes.
so beautiful. Well,
I
all the
haven't seen
history
it
there.
yet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it yet, but my stepson lives very close by. So when COVID is over, I'll be
Yes.
going off to have a look.
Oh, yes, for sure. It's great. The colors. And I was talking about natural dyes. And, the colors of the unicorn tapestries, in the reproduction, they were debating whether to use the natural dyes also, because they did the reproductions in the same style. This thing about color, I was telling the group that this the Huichol family, it's a very pure community, a very pure culture that wasn't that much affected by the Spaniards because of their location, their geographic location. And, textiles, it's very interesting how all civilizations, all of them, nobody can say threads are attributed to any culture. If you see the origins of how they did their cotton, the purépechas, all the, all Quechuas, Mayans, Aztecs, they would use a spindle. If you go to Greek, to Egypt, China, all the civilizations came up with the idea of spinning the yarn. And actually, they started with fibers a little bit rougher than than softer yarns. So it's amazing how the need, first of all, to cover ourselves, and the need to use our creativity for producing something like this. It's amazing because, you know, the yarn made for doing these artworks was originally made by them like for hundreds and hundreds of years before the Spanish came. Of course, they brought technologies and they brought other fibers like the wool, right? They brought horses to America and whatnot. But the essential part of twisting the cotton to create a yarn, the same way they twisted the yarns of the wool from the animals, you know, it's unbelievable. And it all relates to our surroundings. So one day I was taking a course on spinning. I'm not a spinner, but I've tried several times. Trust me, I've been trying on and on. And one of the teachers said, well, the need to observe our surroundings, you know, if you see the twister or the hurricanes, the tornadoes, how the going around, around, around. And if you see here, I'm going to do something very quickly. Whether you cannot attribute the any to a specific culture, but if you see the twister like this, right? And the cone goes smaller, 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 and when it touches the earth, this is the strongest part where it touches, right? And it's destructive. But at the same time, it's a flow of energy. So I was once talking with this teacher, and I said, well, you have the skein here. And if you open it, I don't know what yarns are you using, guys? But if you open it like this, you will find that it has twisted others inside. You see, this is a 2-strand. And then if I go closer, I can open it and find another strand. So this one has 2 strands, but I can find others with 4 strands. But the way they twist, they gather each other, but they have this energy captured in the thread. So that is wonderful. If you want a philosophical debate about this, it's beautiful to think how all the clothes that we are wearing right now, all around the world, is a series of energies trapped in a yarn. So I think if we think it like that, I think it's gorgeous. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking silly things, but I do believe that the threads is something that the touch, the feel, the way we connect through culture and colors and places where we live and what it means to have a symbol like this. You know, this is the blue deer. What is it that makes the connection of the person doing this, right? I'm not Huichol, I'm Mexican, I live in Canada, but regardless, I am doing this to honor the people. Actually, Huichol, the word Huichol means the people. And it's in the original language, in the Huichol, it's a Wisharitari. That would be in their language, and it means people. Huichol means the people. So I'm going to put a slightly darker one. I'm going to finish the legs. And you see here, someone is asking me if I have an original piece. Yes, I do, but it's a big piece that I have in my mom's house. She lives in Mexico. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. And I wanted to bring it to Canada, and Canada Customs said that I wasn't able to bring it because it was natural, mounted on natural wood, and that I wasn't allowed to bring it. So that's very, very sad, but that's what it happened. It happened that I wasn't allowed to bring. The same as an Aztec calendar that my mom gave me. It got confiscated on the border here in Canada. Does anybody have a piece, an original piece of this art forms? Has anybody seen one? No? You know, now because it's the almost, I don't want to say the fashion, because I think this was it's not about fashion. This is about recognizing a technique. They are doing a lot of pens and other products, you know, related to that. Even I wanted to show you something. Let me see if I can. Is it allowed to share screen, Emilio? I don't know. Let me see if I can share screen here. Oh, it has to be here.
I think you can share a screen. If you can't, let me know.
Okay,
I think
so
so.
let me pin video, and I'm going to share a screen with you. It says host disabled participant for sharing screen. I think you just have to let me do the sharing screen, but if not, I can just let you. Well, if you Google, you know, the Volkswagen Huichol, that's something amazing. That was one for an international show, and they did a Volkswagen Beetle, all covered with beads and the Huichol style. So I think that's amazing. Let me see if I can share the screen now. No. Well, anyway. Okay. So at least we have the way of seeing us here. So how are we doing, guys? If you see how much it takes forever to do this, imagine doing the boards that they would be doing like a meter, 1 meter square meter. That's the kind of things they would do, you know, from 30 centimeters to a square meter of work. And one of the things amazing about the Huichol is their outfit. Guys, if you ever see their outfits are just amazing, amazing. They have all decorated with their patterns, and they have these little belts where they put all their peyotes. Okay, the way they do it, they embark in a traditional once a year. They do the walk to the places where they collect the peyotes. The first one they find, everybody eats it as a ceremony, and then they continue their journey until they get to the valley where they're going to be harvesting all these the peyote that will last for the whole year. So it's beautiful, you know. Where they collect, and they have these little pockets, all embroidered in the shape of the peyote, the little pockets.
Michelle, I think you can share your screen now.
Okay. Okay, so let me share here. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so if you see here, this is the region where they live. One of the outfits that you have, one of the samples of their outfit, it's all full of embroidery. And this is the Huichol card that I was telling you. It's just amazing. I just love it. Because if you think that we're having, you see this border with all the peyotes, all of this. Oh my gosh, let me get some water. Okay, thank you. Don't worry, it's not COVID, it's just dust. I'm going to show you here in the other part that it has better resolution. Some of the works, how they have the detail. Take a look. Where's the camera? The fine yarns. You can hardly see the yarns. You see, it's unbelievable how they work. And this is done with wax. This is original one with wax. They also have their jewelry. Where's the jewelry? Here. All made with beads, highly decorated. And if you see the traditional outfit of one of the men, let me show you because I just love them. You know, they have this. Okay, here it is. Take a look at the intricate designs of their, there you are, of their outfits. They're just beautiful. This is one of their yarn paintings. There's a book also very good. I don't know if anybody knows about Artes de Mexico. Artes de Mexico is a collection of, I don't want to say magazines because there are so much research and so much interesting collaborators and photographers and whatnot, produced by the Mexican Fondo de Cultura, the cultural foundation. And they have many books in reference. This is Arte Huichol, that it's from Artes de Mexico. You can get it online. They're beautiful laminates. They're very, very big. There's another one called Arte Antiguo, ancient art. I'm going to show it here because these are just so lovely. Okay, so this is the first book. It's not a magazine, it's a book, Arte Huichol Cora. If you want, I can write it down, all the bibliography. This is the other one, more specifically to the yarn painting. Arte Huichol, all of these are online. They're beautiful to have. They have in English and in Spanish, all the articles. And this is from Hope McLean, Yarn Paintings of the Huichol. This is my friend who has been living for many years with the community. She's totally integrated to their community. They love her. She is able to live months and months immersed with them. So I think this is a very valuable resource also for those who are into research. So yes. So if anybody wants to share so far what we're doing, and remember, don't forget to send us your finished pieces. We won't be able to finish today because, you know, even though it's a small project, it takes forever. So I will be finishing my piece sometime in the near future, I promise. But I would like to see how anybody has any questions. Has anybody gone to that region? You know, another thing that it's not completely the region, but it crosses their land. It's the monarch crossing migration. So the butterfly for them is also one of the most important also icons of their vision world. Butterflies, you know, in many cultures, of course, they bring messages, they bring good feelings, and And I used to I used to live close by the sanctuary of the monarchs in the state of Mexico, Estado de Mexico. Every year, I would experience this clouds of orange, beautiful um, insects flying around. It was just unbelievable. There were even signs from the government to say to slow down the speed of the cars because you would just run over them. Just unbelievable. And now, of course, there are protections, there are programs to protect their sanctuary. The downside is that, they secure the sanctuary, but they don't put laws to mitigate the cutting of the trees that actually feed and protect the butterflies. So it's always a political issue, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm finishing my deer. If you see here, I need to put the insert. Remember my suggestion to open the thread. To insert, I'm going to put more glue. This is not a thing to rush, guys. This is like almost like a mandala, it's for meditation, for feeling that you're doing something really, really significant for yourself, connecting with this culture wherever you are, wherever you may be. This is a way to spiritually connect with other communities. Trust me. And we can all learn. I'm glad that we are having visiting from England, from Mexico, from US, from Costa Rica. And I know that there was a friend of mine from Spain that was going to be joining us also. I don't know, because we all have this way of connecting. So there you go. I have my deer, and I'm going to put a little eye. So the eye, I'm just going to do another suggestion. When you need to put just a little dot, this is what I do. I do a knot on my yarn to have it thicker, just a little knot, tie a knot, okay? If it's too small, you can put another knot, so you can have a little round ball. And I'm going to cut the edges because I'm going to tuck them in once I put the eye. So if you see, I have my tiny knot here. I'm going to open again. I'm going to open here because the glue is still not yet dry. I can still manipulate things because it's still not yet dry. I'm going to put the eye with my little knot that I did. You see? And it appears like very, very nice. I'm going to surround this with the white and with the orange. So once it's dry, you will be able to, sometimes you can see here, some people do it like this, to cut the yarns. But I don't recommend to do cutting them like this because, the flow of the yarn, sometimes it's better to go over, under, over, under. You see, this was started by one of my students also. And then they decided to go back and do it like the full string so you don't have ends. You see, this one is another gradation of yarns. We go from lighter to darker to darkest. So you can basically do any kind of combination. If anybody wants more ideas for colors, oops, sorry. I'm going to put this one here. So this is a peyote. that has hot pink with different tones of green. This one is another peyote that has the dots, and the outside is like a sun. So this is mixing two different ideas, the sun and the peyote. This is another kind of deer, like a younger one. This blue one, I think it's just, where is it here? There's one narrative. It's another book from Hope McLean. It's called The History of the Blue Deer. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. If you ever have opportunity, it's a beautiful narrative for kids, for everybody to share. This is the sun and the moon as an eclipse. Now, one thing that I really want to note, because we come from many different countries. I lived in Poland for a while, almost 2.5 years. And one thing that it was interesting, because I met a lot of people that spoke German at that time in my studies in textiles. And interesting enough, when I say the moon in English and the sun, it has no gender. Have you noticed? It's just the moon and the sun. However, if I say el sol y la luna, like a Latin base, the sun is masculine y la luna is feminine. In many cultures, the moon is associated with, of course, the period and the fertility and the crops and the giving birth, right? More feminine. However, in other languages, the sun would be feminine and the moon would be masculine. I think it's so interesting the way the languages around the world, how we connect as people, because it determines how I'm going to be talking with you, determining the different gender of the word. And I think it's so interesting. I don't know what you think about it, but if I say the table, la mesa, in English is just the table. But in Spanish is feminine, la mesa, whereas in German it's masculine. So the attributes or characteristics that I might be putting to an object depends if it's a strong, solid table, it's a very structured, right? I could almost even talk like, yes, this is a table. But if I think that it's the table in a feminine form, then I would say, well, it's delicate maybe, or I don't know. It completely changes the way we perceive sometimes. So in different cultures, it's interesting when we talk about color, for example. In some communities, black could be for the loss, for mourning, for someone's death, right? We go to a funeral and we dress in black. However, in other communities, they dress in white. So all of these things just really amaze me, how the color affects the way we all connect in terms of psyche, um, latitudes of where we live. What do you think? Okay. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I have an echo.
Michelle, you need to mute one of the
Okay, I have it muted. Wait a second. Like this one? No, it's still the same. Okay, so okay.
I think it's much better now.
Okay. Okay, so we're back. So anyway, this thing about colors, in Africa, some cultures tend to put the patterns, right now we're talking about gradation of color and sequence towards the flow of the heartbeat. In Africa, some communities, for example, from Bali, from the Mali kingdom, they would put all the patterns perfectly fine, over, under, up, down, up. And in one part of their fabric would be sideways, because their philosophy is that only God is perfect and we shouldn't be doing anything perfect rather than God. So I think that's also interesting. And I'm forgetting the last leg here. I'm just going to put all the glue. Emilio, you have to show us what you're doing. Are your daughters following?
I'm following. I will show everybody, and actually, I want to show this
Your
to my
daughters.
two little girls, and they probably want to do their own. So we're going to show the three of
Yes.
us.
Yes. It would be great to see what you guys do, because I know that you are yarn freaks also.
Here's mine.
Yes. Is your daughter still running the crochet book, the crochet club?
Elizabeth is showing you her piece right now, Ixchel.
Yes. Yes.
Going very slowly, but getting there.
Oh, it's also a deer. That's nice. Nice color, red. Okay, what is red to you? Why red? Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose red?
My favorite color. It's life. To me, anyways.
Yes?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Well,
life.
let me tell you something about red. Because I've been with yarns all my life, and I'm a little bit obsessed with yarns. And my kids tell me, yes, mom, everything has to be, you know. So I had, like, for 7 years, one of the doctors said, well, your tejido hemático is low in iron.
Oh,
I'm going to say it in English. Well, in hematos, it's the blood. In Spanish, tejido is woven. Is woven. And I told my kids, even my blood has fibers. If you see it in a microscope, the structure of the blood, They're like strings. And I said, wow, strings are flowing inside of me. So anyway, yes, that's the kind of obsession I have with yarns. I can tell you. Yes, red is a very strong color. And if you ever want to do with cochineal, the nice red. Have you made anything with cochinilla? No? Well, let me tell you, you will fall in love of that red. And if you learn how to do the mordants in with natural dyes, you can find that, for example, if you want to get other colors, in the vat, when you mix just with water, the squished powder of the cochineal with just a little pinch, a little bit, you can put some drops of lemon juice, and it starts becoming pink
Oh,
because
wow.
it's an acid. It's an acid. Or bicarbonate of sodium, also just a little pinch, and it starts turning like orange.
Oh,
And
excellent.
if you want to do a darker, like purplish tone, what I do is I put a whole jar of copper coins or copper nails or copper tubes or whatever made of copper, put them in water. So it's going to start oxidizing the copper or the ferro, the hierro, iron, right? So you put it there, you let it soak, and with that water, you add it to the cochineal vat. It will start turning darker. It's beautiful. It's like magic. It's like, wow. I just love it.
Thank you.
This is
What?
also used for food, believe it or not.
Yes. Yes. They dye food, candies, for example. You can also do stamp the tortillas, breads. It's beautiful. Hmm. Yes. This thing about the coloring is fascinating. I started doing it when I was 12. I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I started doing fabrics. My mom bought for me a pattern, a McCall's pattern, and then a simplicity pattern, and then I wanted more. And I did one pattern and then the same pattern over and over until I got tired. And then I told my mom that I needed more, and then she said, good luck. You can't be just, we didn't have that much money to be buying, fabrics and everything. So at that time, my mom had a lot of long skirts because my parents are musicians. So we went to concerts every Fridays and Sundays. So in 1970s were the fashion of the long skirts. So guess what? I started doing fabrics. And I took courses with an Indian teacher in Mexico. And then I did natural dyes and I got fascinated by that. It was really, really beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to start the background. We still have some time and we're going to talk about the golden yellow. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the yellow for the pre-Hispanic cultures. How did we get the yellow? Now, I have different options here. I'm just going to put them here for you to see. I have the yellow. This is dyed with marigold. Flor de cempasúchil. I dyed this with natural dyes. Now, the Day of the Day is coming soon, so we can get more colors with the flowers of the, the Day of the Dead. In Mexico, it's a big, big tradition. So what color would I use here if I want to make a contrast? Remember that we were talking about contrast. If it's the darker blue, I put a black outline. I'm going to start with a lighter value of yellow, which is this one. Okay? So I'm going to put yellow here and yellow here. It's going to create like almost like a sun effect around my figure. Okay, so how to dye with cochineal. You know, the yellow for the Raramuris and the north of Mexico and the Huicholes and all the, you know, I want to tell you a little bit of story about how the weaving came to be. You know, in the Mayan culture, there's a narrative from the Epalchen. It's the book of the in the Mayans, and they said that the first woman on earth was called by the moon. The moon said, "Hey, I want you to climb the tallest tree, and I will throw the threads, the silver threads, towards you. And I will teach you how to spin and how to hilar, you know, how to do your yarns and how to from the moon in silver." And so she did. And that's how she passed the knowledge to all daughters and granddaughters. And that's their narrative of how the weaving came to be in the Mayan culture. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's just lovely. Anything related to the moon has very 28 days of the cycle of the moon and whatnot. But I think this reference of throwing silver threads, it's just beautiful. My grandfather was an archaeologist, and I grew up very close to Mayan books in his house. In fact, my father, he was Mexican, but they loved the history of Mexico. So that's why my name, I have a Mayan name. Ixchel is the goddess of weaving in Mayan. And Coatlicue, which is my second name, it's an Aztec name of the duality of life and death. So yes, you would think, was I bullied in school? Yes. Yes, it wasn't the easiest way. It's not easy being green, like Kermit the Frog would say. But growing up, I am very proud of my names and of my culture. And I love to share stories. So probably I should have been a storyteller. I don't know. So this is wonderful, Emilio. What the club, can you tell us a little bit about the Northumberland Club?
Yes. Sorry, I have to mute. My phone and my computer, and I have to unmute both of them. The Northumberland Hispanic Cultural Club is a nonprofit association that brings the culture and the vibrant displays of art and wonderful cuisine to Northumberland County in Ontario, Canada. This club has been, this is the 6th year of the club, and little by little we have been growing up, obviously. And since 3 years ago, we are celebrating the Hispanic Heritage Month, and we found out that we have a huge support from the community, and that join us not only in the workshops. We have, by the way, we have tomorrow a virtual party. If you guys would like to put your dance shoes, it's from 8 to 9. It's gonna be also stream live from our YouTube channel, and the same as today. And we also have a concert on the 29th. It's going to be released. Also, is a virtual concert. This year, everything is virtual. So and it's free. different from another years. Obviously, we are a non-profit. We have to get some money back. But this year is special with the pandemic. We want to make it easy for everybody. So tomorrow the party, the 29th at 7 o'clock, is the release of the concert. The concert is recorded on the beautiful Northumberland scenery in Lake Ontario and a couple parks in the area. And we have members of our club singing. They are beautiful singers. So it's a beautiful. I had a sneak peek of the concert, and it's just beautiful. I'm very proud to present, or we are very proud to present this concert to everybody. And for the beginning of November, or mid-November, we are also releasing an exhibition, an art and heritage exhibition. The name of this exhibition is, I need to find it, Our Voyage, Family
Voyage.
Bonds, and yes, Our Voyage, Family Bonds and Belongings. So it's a very interesting show where people, it's going to show their, the connection, that little artifacts that connects them with the family and the friends on the lands of our origin. So it's a very interesting piece that we are creating with members of the community and members of the club. So it's going to be released in November. So this year is everything is virtual. You can find everything in our webpage, northumberlandhispanic.ca. We have until the 26th. We also have the Hispanic Film Festival. And we have 5 movies that can be, national 6 movies that can be watched until the 26th. So you can just go online, register. You have the address, link address where you can watch the movies and the passwords that you need for one of the movies. Prima, it's Argentine Canada production. It's a beautiful movie, very actual, very contemporary. And then we have the blog of the other movies with another password. So I hope you guys could join us for this. It's a very interesting set of events that we present, and all of them are free. All right, Ixchel, back to you.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yes, thank you. And, like I said, I am grateful for this opportunity to share something. Maybe somebody learned something different from this wonderful culture of my country. And it's, we have to take what I like about these the gatherings and knowing from every part of the world is that we can incorporate them to our lives in many ways. I deal with, I teach at all levels, but especially when we, when I was growing up, my family is a long time of Alzheimer's. And all of these things are very good for reinforcing the memory loss because we are in a world where everything is a swish of the phone, swish of you click and you get immediate to a click. And we are not allowing ourselves to sit down, process information. We are leaving everything to technology. And I know that this is just an example of something that I'm passionate and I want somebody to learn something different, which is the Huichol. But it's just an excuse, may I say, that there's so many things out there that we can learn, incorporate them in our lives for our well-being. Whether you want to do a mandala, you can, I was showing that one of my students of the board said, but do we really need to use those colors? So guess what? One of my students did one of the group of 7. If you see it here, it's one of the paintings of the group of 7. The Jack Pine Tree by Tom Thompson. And that's wonderful. They took it beyond the culture. They took the technique for something that might be sticky, but it's different technique. And the way we are using our senses is also important because we are so used to technologies nowadays. Honestly, look at us. We are transmitting through Zoom. I can't even show you how it feels. When I was telling about the yellow, I'm going to show you what I did like a couple of weeks ago. I was dyeing with marigolds. Right now we have a lot of marigolds. These are all linen, and they are all with different colors. Look, this is a very vibrant orange, and this is a raw yellow with the marigold. And I did some other colors with darker ones. And if you see this one, this was dyed with the marigold and the coins I was telling you. This is the color, you see? It's a little bronzier tone. So all of these colors were made with one batch of like probably 10 flowers of marigold. And this is linen. So yes, it's beautiful, and we can learn something different from Canada. What I found is that here is so multicultural. When I say something about my culture, I realized that oh really, oh really, do they do that? Well, yes, probably because I grew up in Mexico and everybody gives for granted. I'm sure in England there could be so many things that we can learn from. My friend from Australia, you know, I lived in Spain and I met with these amazing weavers. Um, and there's always something to learn. For example, I never knew how they picked up the olives in Spain. I was traveling with my kids when we were living there, and I have never seen how they collected the olives and how they produce the olive oil. And we work with oils, and we cook with oils. We are surrounded by oils. So yes, I appreciate you guys linking us today. I hope you got to learn just a little bit and get curious about this wonderful culture. You can search in YouTube, the cantos y tradiciones huicholes, that there's a lot out there. There's National Geographic references. There's so much out there. And you can see the traditional designs. And anyway, now that we are a little bit stuck inside with this COVID thing, let's use it wisely. You know, Not everything has to be bad. With my students, when I Zoom with them, my little ones, they just want to connect at all, in any way. So yes, so keep on touching the fibers. It's all around us. It's something beautiful to just be immersed in everything that wraps us around. So I'm almost finished the yellow. I'm going to put a following color that would be probably this one. Yeah, I'm going to put this one. Maybe I'm going to do the lines smaller. And you know what? If you have a big line, another thing that you can do, it could be lighter to darker to the center and lighter to the edge again. So you can do two gradations of color in the same area. So going back to colors, now we have the yellow from the cochineal or marigold. We have the blue from the indigo, and we have the red from the cochineal. Now, not only the red can be produced by cochineal. If you wanted a vegetable source, we have two trees, Palo de Brasil, Brazilian wood, and Campeche wood. Those are two tree trunks and pieces of tree that you put them to boil, and they will give very, very nice also red tones. Not as vibrant as the cochineal, but yes, you will get the red tone as well. Now, what do we learn in kindergarten? What happens when we mix yellow with blue? We, so we get green, right? So with the green, we can make other dyes. How do we make darker green? The same way I was telling you. You use the copper, or you use the lime, or you use, all these different things, that the mordants that change the pH of the alkalinity of the water that affects the dye. So that's how we get the other colors. But basically, if you have those three primary colors, you can do a lot of things. Another thing that you can do to dye colors is onion skin, the brown onion. I mean, the onion skin, right? So you can also do that. What other colors? Walnut. You can use the avocado pits, the coffee. Coffee. I grew up in the land of coffee girls. What else? What other colors? Has anybody done natural dyes from this group? No? Well, it's magical. Okay, there you go. I'm going to tell you a little snake and the father's son, the peyote. And we have this symbol that it's the vision or mirror. This is called Nierica. And a vision is the mirror that reflects upon human and God. It goes back and forth. Another figure that it's very used in their, it's the eye of God. The eye of God in many cultures, this is another Nielica vision or mirror. This is another of their designs. You see, the designs are very simple. What it affects them is the color. And it's almost like a Baroque feeling. It's like very, very full, one color and another and another and another, the narrative. This makes even their language quite complex. They have three types of language. One is like divided into metaphorical, and the other is like the everyday one. Only the elders would speak with a metaphor style of using the words. I'm going to use this one. as a light. Just one, the rainbow colors. And if you see, I don't know how you feel the surface, but you just have to tap very, very gently. I'm going to wrap it around with this one now, with the cochineal and the marigold. Now, when you mix the yellow of the marigold with the cochineal, oh my gosh, you should see all the beautiful colors that you get. Oranges, you get, and then you get an orange, and then you mix it with a little bit of lime juice, and then you get this vibrant, vibrant colors. There you go. How are we doing? We're almost getting there to the end of our experience. I thank everyone to joining us today, and I will be definitely looking for the results. Don't be shy. This is not about perfection. One of the things that art teaches us is self-esteem and confidence is the most important thing that we need. You know, there's so many, you know, I deal with teenagers and all of this thing of the social media, you know, if you're not perfect, you cannot show on social media and they're going to criticize you. And this is not about, you know, probably some of the communities from the Huichols are looking at us right now and they're saying, yes, really, that's not Huichol. But you know what? The most important thing is that we are recognizing a culture, and this is not about, I would never intend to say this is perfectly well done Huichol art, but this is a technique that we can bring to our lives. Definitely. So I hope you enjoyed this tour to the central parts of Mexico, and hope to see you in another of these talks. Right, Emilio?
Yes. Well, let's talk and maybe we can do some more workshops like this one in the future. And I found that it's very interesting, and you know, bringing culture, bringing all little cultures to everybody is always a pleasure to the group or to the club. So yeah, definitely we can keep doing this in the future. Not only because this is the month of the Hispanic heritage, but definitely we can contribute to this. In more than one way. So we can talk and promote something very soon, Ixchel. And Ixchel is an excellent artist. She has a beautiful gallery, new gallery in this area in Warkworth, Ontario. And she offers very nice, very important artist exhibitions, and even her own art is just mesmerizing. Is beautiful.
Thank you, Emilio, for this opportunity. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It has been great, and I will be really looking forward to sharing your art and what it meant for you, because that's important. How did you feel?
Thank you very much.
We're going to, I want to send...
And I hope you learned something different today.
We certainly did.
I will be sending an email to everybody with the directional email where you can send us a picture of your finished work, so we can post it and show how wonderful this workshop was. I see some of you have been working and doing very great pieces. So I'm looking forward to and actually post all those how to call it, the beautiful art that you've made. All right.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Ixchel, for your time and for doing this for us. And let's see if everybody can show the pieces. Oh, wow.
Yes, you chose the peyote. The peyote is
Nice.
beautiful. And the
Going
deer.
to take me quite a
Yeah,
while
the
to
deer.
finish.
I know, but you know what? It's worth doing it. Trust me.
Yes, yes. That's
Yes.
one of my favorites also.
Yes.
We have a Don Luis and Sarah. Are you doing some? Some people don't have the camera ability or microphone
Sorry.
ability, so we don't want to pressure anybody. But thank you so much for taking this time, and I hope you enjoy this workshop as I did. I enjoyed it very much, and looking forward to the next one.
Yes,
All right.
for sure. Nice seeing you.
All
Nice meeting
right.
you. Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
Emilio.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.